It's time once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you.
A lot to talk about. We had a council meeting on a different date because of the holidays, so we'll give you a recap of the second meeting in February. Also a lot happening around town that we'll bring you up to date on. Let's start with the council meeting, and a nice note but a sad note to start it off. Jim Knutson, who's been with the city for quite some time, counting all of the dollars in town and keeping things straight financially, is retiring. Tell us a little bit about Jim.
Yeah, so Jim's going to be departing us at the end of March. I think I've mentioned before, as we've talked about some of the city's goals around succession planning, you know, about 70% of our leadership team will probably retire within the next 2 to 5 years, and Jim being one of those. Jim's been with the city of Maple Grove about 12 years, but he's been in public service as in the finance position, edging up to 40, I think around 37 years.
Wow.
So well-earned, well-deserved retirement, but certainly a big loss for the city, and we are going to miss him greatly. But before he goes, we want to thank him for his service and acknowledge, you know, his sound stewardship of the city's resources. So a big loss for Maple Grove, but we're really happy for Jim and his next chapter in life.
You bet. Best to Jim as he moves along. Let's talk about lakes a little bit. It was one of the items on the consent agenda, but pulled for a little more discussion. Bring us up to date on the lakes in town. Yeah,
so we have a new member appointment to the Lake Quality Commission that's coming forward. And then we also adopted their work program for the 2017 year. I'm just going to see if I can grab that name really quick. I might not be able to do that as fast as we need to here. But the Lake Quality Commission does do adopt a work program every year, and that they work on different topics as their monthly meetings go on. Right. I'm not able to grab that name, so but we did have, I'm sorry, Jonathan Kurzman was the name of the individual that was joining the Lake Quality Commission there. So that will be a 3-year term, and so Councilmember Jager wanted to thank him for, you know, coming forward, stepping forward to take on that role, and so we look forward to welcoming him to that board.
A lot of people doing some extra work to help out the city on those commissions. For the council meeting itself, there were a couple of special presentations, and one was the government update. A few of the legislators from the area came in. Tell us about the updates from Pepin and Smith.
Yeah, so House Majority Leader Joyce Pepin, and then Representative Dennis Smith joined us at the council meeting to kind of give us an update on what they've been working on so far at the legislative session, as part of the legislative session, and it's been real busy so far. They have some earlier deadlines this year with the goal of getting their work done a little bit earlier and not hopefully rushing up to the deadline. Right. There's just been a number of things that have come about this session that are certainly on our radar that we're paying attention to. Things around small cell technology, so relating to cell phone usage, some changes proposed to the Met Council governance structure. That's been kind of a perennial issue, but seems to be getting some traction this year. The Sunday liquor sales is something, you know, that we pay attention to, what happens there. Real ID is something that Representative Smith has been carrying. So there's just a number of things that affect us at a city level that we pay attention to. In addition to sort of those broader issues, we have our own items that we're working on specific to Maple Grove, and that includes the gravel mining area TIF legislation amendments. Both of those bills are on the House and Senate side have been introduced, and we're looking forward to some committee hearings coming up in the next few weeks. And then the 610, completion of the 610 project. Bills have been introduced on both the House and the Senate side for that as well, carried by Dennis Smith on the House side and Senator Warren Limmer on the Senate side. So you'll see probably some testimony coming up on those bills in the upcoming weeks. With regard to the 610 completion, we are working kind of collaboratively with the City of Dayton to see if we might have a combined bill that would address the 610 completion, the extension of auxiliary lanes all the way up to where the Brockton interchange would be constructed. So kind of combining those projects into one. And this is a little bit in response to some of the congestion that we're seeing out on 94 now, where 610 connects has really, you know, jammed things up there. And so I think it speaks to the amount of volume that 610 is carrying and the need for that roadway.
Right.
But we feel like getting that project completed and those auxiliary lanes in would help with some of that. So we may see an amended bill come forward as we move through the committee hearings on this one.
Very good. So we'll
Yep.
keep our eye on the Capitol and let you know what updates are taken there. You mentioned the Met Council a little bit,
Yep.
and ironically, you had a presentation from the Met Council right after the representatives. Tell us about the Met Council update.
Yeah, so our local representative here on the Met Council is Katie Rodriguez, and so she came in to talk a little bit about the work that they do at the Met Council, and it's an agency that we interact with on a very frequent basis as a
Right.
city. One of the big initiatives right now is, of course, our comprehensive plan update, and they the Met Council sort of does the pre-work and putting out their system statements about housing and transportation and infrastructure and whatnot, and then our comprehensive plan sort of responds to those system statements. So we're in. We've kind of, I think we've pretty much finished up our preliminary work as of last night
Okay.
on the comp plan process. We're going to be having some stakeholder meetings, some landowners. We're going to be doing a broker-developer roundtable discussion to get some feedback from them. And then we have some public open houses scheduled for the end of April, early May. So you'll start to see some information come out about those dates. But that's a big piece of our work with the Met Council. In addition, Maple Grove is a suburban transit provider, so we have some interaction with Met Council there. And as I mentioned, there's been some legislative proposals to change the structure of Met Council. I think one thing we found with our representative Rodriguez is she's been very responsive to our needs and our concerns with the city of Maple Grove. She's been very helpful to us on our, we've made some applications to the Met Council for some transportation funding, and she has been very much an advocate for Maple Grove, and so we want to also thank her for her service and her work that she does on our behalf.
Very good. So again, another one of the updates in the early part of the meeting and the end of February. Now to some information about some projects moving along, and we've got some excitement happening on Main Street and Elm Creek Boulevard. Tell us about that one corner that's getting some looks.
Yeah, so this is the corner where Wild Bill's is currently, kind of out in front of Lunds and Byerly's. And we had seen a proposal come forward from the developer previously. The Planning Commission took a look at it. We gave them some feedback. We weren't quite too excited about the architecture or the uses they were proposing there. Really wanted to hang on to that sit-down restaurant on the corner. The good news is the developer kind of heard that feedback and went back to the drawing table and came back to us with a combination, so 2 buildings. So the existing building will be demolished, and then we'll have 2 new buildings. One of them will be a Crave restaurant. So I think this will be their 7th in the metro area. So they do a great job.
It will be popular.
Yeah, it will be very popular. So the Crave restaurant will have kind of the same offerings as their other locations do, but we'll have patio dining on the street level, and then there'll be rooftop dining on top of the restaurant, which is kind of a nice addition to Maple Grove and brings some more activity to the street level down there, and so we're looking forward to that. The other part of the project will be a Bank of America project.
Okay.
So it'll be the Crave restaurant, and the Bank of America will be kind of a little bit back further to the west towards the Lunds and Byerly's. So
Very good.
I think it'll be a nice addition to that corner. They're going to do some nice landscape and sort of kind of a nice patio area out in front of the restaurant. So
Very nice.
kind of some nice treatment to that corner as well.
And the existing business, Wild Bill's,
Yes.
does not go away.
No.
Tell us about that plan.
Yeah, they are looking to go over to the Don Pablo site.
Okay.
So we haven't seen anything real official on that. The developers talked about it at the Planning Commission meetings, that is their plan. I know they're looking to expand a bit. I think they do, pretty good business there on that corner. So
Right.
that opportunity was over there at the Don Pablo site. So you likely see some activity on that in the upcoming months.
Very good.
Yep.
We'll keep you up to date. Community development, as always, some things to talk about within the city. One is a senior cooperative possibly coming to town.
Yep.
To be called potentially Applewood Point of Maple Grove. Tell us where this is potentially going to be and how it's in with some other properties as well, as I
Yep.
understand it.
Yep, so this project, there's a parcel of land right behind Silver Creek on Main there, just kind of across from the community center and the library.
Right.
Up on Main and Weaver there. There's been a parcel of land. When they came in with Silver Creek on Main, this was sort of the 3rd phase of that project,
Okay.
yet to be defined, really. And so now Silver Creek on Main has been working with United Properties, and they would sell them. Actually, the city owns that piece, and there would be an agreement about that being transacted to United,
Okay.
and then this project moving forward is Applewood Point. So a number of things to work through here on some development agreement items, purchase agreement items, but very preliminary stages, so you'll probably see this one coming forward to the Planning Commission. I don't know if it's going to be real quick because we have some things to work through, but probably more in the March timeframe is my guess.
But again, speaks to the need and the demand for senior housing in the city.
Yeah, senior co-op building. So this is a little bit of a different, it's rental, however, you have some sort of an upfront investment that goes along with you as you live there, and then you can get that back when you leave the building, kind of a thing. But Applewood Point is they're a good developer. They do a good operator. They have a project up in Champlin, and they have some other projects around the metro area. So we're familiar with them as an operator.
Very good.
Yep.
And another name that is being talked about at the council is Mills Creek. Tell us
Yeah.
about the Mills Creek potential development.
Yeah, this is another one up off of Weaver, just kind of east of, kind of more in the Zachary area. There's a MnDOT parcel that was back in kind of back off the main road there off of Weaver
Okay.
to the north, that MnDOT had put up for auction, put up for sale in the last year. And so the developer is proposing to do, I think it's a 67 unit single family detached rental type project.
Right.
So this would be kind of more of a higher end type bungalow type project for more of a senior community, and this would have a lot of amenities in it with a clubhouse, some public, some common area spaces, walking trails, outdoor exercise equipment, that kind of a thing. So this one will probably be coming through the Planning Commission here in the next few weeks as well.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
And a couple other items to talk about that you might see happening around town. One is the Doran properties, and boy, can they bring things up out of the ground quickly. Tell us about what we're seeing now with some structures there.
Yeah, so the two retail buildings to the south have really come out of the ground, and you can start to kind of get the sense and shape of the buildings. So that's kind of exciting to see. And then on the north side with the residential pieces, the first apartment building is coming along, and then they'll be getting going on the clubhouse here pretty soon. So that project's moving around, moving along at a pretty good clip here. So,
Yes, right across the street from that area then. All know where the fountains at Arbor Lakes is, and there's going to be a little bit of a change there because the fountain is not going to be a fountain much longer. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, so they're going to shift. I don't know if you've noticed, but as you go by, they had demoed out quite a bit of that area around the corner that was previously the fountain, and now it's going to shift to a waterfall. So,
Okay.
But I think the project will still be called the Fountains.
All right. So hang in there with us.
Yes.
And we'll talk a little bit about road construction a little bit later in the program. One other item of note that Ken Ashfield brought up was XL Energy doing some work with your street lights in town, some energy saving thoughts.
Yeah, so we're going to be changing out to the LED lights structures, and so that'll be happening over the next few months here with Xcel Energy. So some energy savings. It does shift the look of the light a little bit in town, but I think they last about quite a bit longer, and then save on certainly the energy required to operate them. So good to see those upgrades being made in the community as well.
Very good. So that is your update on the meeting from the 21st and what went on at the council meeting. Again, about an hour and 10 minutes long, but a number of other things happening in town. Let's run down a list of things happening here, and I know you're going to be involved in this. And
yes.
In fact, the morning before the taping, I was involved. Feed My Starving Children has come to town in a mobile pack way. Tell us about this opportunity for residents if they're watching us early here to help out.
Yeah, so the Feed My Starving Children mobile pack, it's being held at the Egan Company warehouse, which is right on 169. I think it's 116th and 169 at that intersection. Kind of a big industrial building, but they have a big warehouse space that they make available for this purpose. They did the same thing at this location last year, and so they do kind of extended hours, and it's an opportunity for multiple groups to come in at one time and be part of this mobile pack. And I was able to go last year as part of the Maple Grove Rotary Club was there. You were there this morning. I'm going again tomorrow night. It's a fun event,
It is.
and it's something that families can do together. You can bring your kids. Kids can help. They're very accommodating and giving them a role to play that they can handle. And so it's a fun event. And if you I think our website might have some information, but certainly if you just Google the mobile pack here in the metro area, you can get some information on how to register.
Yeah, great opportunity to help out again as a business, a church, organization, or even individuals. They'll take anybody to walk in and they'll put you with the team and let you help out. All right, let's talk about skating. It was an interesting skating season, and while most is shut down, there's still a glimmer of hope in Maple Grove for skating, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the outdoor rinks, they're done.
Didn't do too well.
Couldn't hold up in 60 and sunshine. And we had to let go the skating loop refrigerated rink this past weekend as well. So we were kind of laughing that everybody went from skates to flip-flops in about 10 minutes these last few days. So we're going to watch the weather. We're expecting some snow at the end of this week here, and then the temperatures are going to cool off. So if we see ahead that we've got a good run of some cooler weather, we'll probably get that skating loop going again. If we think it's going to, if we're going to get enough time out of it to make it worthwhile. But right now we're kind of monitoring, but it is closed out right now. But the playground is open.
All right, well there.
You can go play at the park.
You have options, and there's a phone number to call, 763-494-5959. That'll be updates on if the ice is good or bad. Businesses in town, there are a few grand openings that happened lately. Tell us about those.
We have a new Anytime Fitness over at the Wedgwood Commerce Center. It's located in kind of an office building over there. So that's kind of a nice addition. We have a lot of office tenants over there, so a lot of people working in that area during the daytime, so that's a nice addition over there. And then just before I got here to come to do the taping, I was at the Firefly Credit Union ribbon cutting, and that's right out in front of Lowe's over at the Fountains. This is a project, they acquired that land probably 10 years ago, right before the recession occurred and the downturn in the economy. And they sort of sat on that for a little while. And then recently they've gone through a rebranding process. So this is the former U.S. Federal Credit Union. So they're one of the oldest credit unions in the state of Minnesota. And they started out as kind of a credit union for the postal workers, is kind of their history. And they've been around, I think it was 92 years. And so they rebranded and they're kind of branding themselves as a business as well. If you are a resident or live in, work in, worship in, have community ties here in the 7-county metro, you could be a member. So it's not necessarily tied to any federal agency anymore. So beautiful building, and they are open for business as of today. Welcome to both to town. You mentioned spring a minute ago and the nice weather we're having. That gets us thinking about recreation opportunities, and you've got a brochure ready to come out to residents here very soon? Yeah, so the spring edition of the quarterly Parks and Recreation brochure, it'll either be in your mailbox at home or it's also available online on our city website for viewing. So all of the spring programming that's offered will be available for sign up there. And some of those you have to sign up early, so don't wait. Open that quickly and take a look at it. Utility billing, we've been talking about that and some of the utility billing process updates. How is that going? What should people be looking for right now? Yeah, so I think it's going pretty well. We've had a couple folks that have had some difficulties, but they can always call our office. We're happy to help either by phone or email if they want to stop in. Whatever it takes, we're willing to help get through this process of shifting to the new system. So information is available on our website, and then if you do have questions, you can call 494-6330, and our staff would be happy to help you there too. All right, so they'll walk you through those new look to the bills. All right, we mentioned road construction a little earlier. Let's get back to that here. There was one note in the council meeting from Ken Ashfield talking about not the 94, we'll talk about that in a minute, but 169. So for people that use the north part of town, a little change coming up here. I guess it's going to be the end of 2017, maybe some start, and then full 2018. What's happening up by the river? Yeah, so this is the segment of 169, basically from just south of the Anoka-Champlin Bridge into and through Champlin. So much of that segment of that roadway there of 169 is going to be reconstructed, and some alignment changes too, so changes to the signalization. So pretty impactful project. So Ken Ashfield had attended a meeting there up in Champlin just to kind of understand what the project would mean to traffic flow. I think there's just some concern about 169 will basically be reduced to one lane in either direction. Not good. For much of that construction period, and as we all know, that's already a congested area, with that being one of the only river crossings to get north of the river or south of the river for that matter. And so, will people find other routes on the river road over to Fernbrook, those kinds of things. So I think it's just kind of a heads up and pre-planning as to how people might start to move around that area once that project gets started.
Right, might have a little impact of people finding the shortcut, as
Yes.
usually happens.
Yes,
So we'll
yes.
keep you up to date on that as that gets closer. But again, that's not till 2018. But this year, we should talk again about I-94, and again, some impact coming there, not only for people traveling in the cars, but also I know your buses from Maple Grove. So tell us about 94 and by the tunnel.
Yeah, so this is a project basically from Brooklyn Center into the downtown to and through the Lowry Hill Tunnel. So they'll be resurfacing roadway, doing maintenance work on bridges. This is a very impactful project. So there will be lane reductions during this period of time, and there's also a period of time where the Lowry Hill Tunnel will be closed and traffic will have to be rerouted.
Okay.
We have been working with MnDOT and Met Council on options to either reroute some of our buses, change times, those kinds of things. So Michael Patz on our staff, our transit administrator, has been engaged in those discussions and trying to come up with some of the best solutions we can be. But whether you're taking the bus or you drive to downtown, you're going to want to pay attention to this one, because this is going to have some pretty significant impacts for those who take that 94 route into downtown. And you know, if people move to the 169 off to 394 corridor, you know, those will probably be difficult as well. So this is one to pay attention to for the upcoming season. And this one is going to get started in March, and then it goes all the way through kind of early summer of 2018.
All right.
Yep.
Plan your plan. Be ready for that one.
Yeah.
Get your calendar out now. We have a couple dates to talk about of some things coming up in the community. The first, we've talked about it a few times, is the Community Forum on Race.
Yep.
4th annual event. It's Saturday, March 11th from 11 to 3. It's at the Brooklyn Park Community Activity Center. Tell us a little bit about why we have this event, what's happened at it at the past.
Yeah, so this is a collaborative effort. The cities that are involved are Brooklyn Park and Maple Grove. Maple Grove is new to the event this year, but it's kind of sponsored by the school district. There's some other organizations. The African Immigrant Services are involved. The Alternative School District up in the north, I think they're located in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center area, and then St. Joseph the Worker, so the faith community is at the table as well. So this is, we're going to have a keynote speaker that'll kick off the event at 11 a.m. And then kind of a community lunch, and then we'll have some breakout sessions for discussion. So getting people engaged in some meaningful conversation about race and what it means to their life and what it means to everybody's lives that are around the table. So we just think it'll be a nice community event and a good timing for bringing this discussion forward.
Very good. So again, information on the city's website, and there's an Eventbrite opportunity to sign up for that. Quick note about the survey. We've talked about it multiple times, but for people loving to look at numbers and charts and things, you have this available for people to take a look at?
Yep, it's available on our website. We did a series, a Facebook series on postings about that, and called out some of the each of the key findings, and did put some information behind each one of those. And so that was all on Facebook. I know here at the station you did a couple of stories about that as well, and then there'll be an article in the spring newsletter. But all of that survey information, including the full report, which has a tremendous amount of detail in it, is available on our website if anybody wishes to go and check that out.
Very good.
Yep.
Tuesday, March 14th, the date. If you're an entrepreneur in town, you might want to put this down. It's the Open to Business opportunity at the Government Center, and again, it continues to go very well.
Yes. We've had 2 dates now, so the January and February, both fully booked.
Wonderful.
Which is great, because I think what it shows is that there's opportunity here in Maple Grove for sort of that small economic development, that entrepreneurial level of maybe somebody's in a real small space and they're thinking about growing, or maybe they're working out of their home and they're ready to take that next step, but they just have some questions, not sure about their business plan, not sure about their pro forma. This is an opportunity to get some free counseling. We've already seen one business kind of move from that in the basement type thing, and now they're going to be expanding into, you know, bricks and mortar space, and that's the kind of thing that we want to see. And we want to make sure that, you know, if you're going to make those kinds of decisions, that's going to work for you for the long run. And so this is just a great opportunity, and we're really thrilled with the response that we've seen so far.
Fantastic.
And so we'll keep promoting it, and hopefully we'll continue that trend. So second Tuesday of the month from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The meetings are held right at the Government Center, so you can call. We have information on our website. you can call, make an appointment. They usually like to know you're coming and know a little bit about your business plan or what you're thinking about, and maybe even if some information can be shared ahead of time that gives, Rob Schmoland is the counselor that comes out and meets with folks.
Great.
Gives them a heads up of what to expect when you come in and meet. So.
And you can't beat the price.
Nope,
It is
free.
free, so make sure you take opportunity of that. Wednesday, March 29th, 8:30 a.m. till noon, another event at the Brooklyn Park Community Activity Center in partnership with Maple Grove and many other communities. It's the Senior Spring Forum, opportunity for people to have some fun and I think learn about many businesses in Maple Grove too.
Yep.
Some of those vendors are from Maple Grove. Tell us about that event.
Yeah, so that event, 8:30 to noon, Wednesday, March 29th, Brooklyn Park Activity Center that you mentioned. So information about health and social services, transportation, some fitness type things, wellness, music, dancing, housing opportunities in the North Metro, travel, community theater, much more. So just a full opportunity to learn about services for seniors in the North Metro area. The pre-registration is recommended, and there's a phone number to call, 763-503-2520. But if you go to the Northwest Hennepin Human Services Council website, I'm sure there's information there as well about it.
Very good. All right,
Yep.
that filled up your calendar for the month
Yep.
of March, I am sure. Let's talk about one last event, Arbor Committee. They have an opening and some applications are being taken for that. Tell us first about the Arbor Committee and who you might be looking for to fill this role.
Yeah, so our Arbor Committee works on issues related to kind of the urban forest in Maple Grove. And, you know, one of the key things that they've been working on this past year, of course, is the Emerald Ash Borer.
Right.
And now that we've confirmed its presence in Maple Grove, we are implementing our management plan. We've updated our ordinances to deal with what we do when we have diseased trees and how they need to be dealt with. So that has been a big area of focus. So that's one example of something
Right.
that they've worked on. But also, you know, the city has some forest preservation areas, so we have some, you know, we have some maintenance responsibilities in those. So those are things that they weigh in on. We have our tree preservation zones in the city, certain areas of development that require extra levels of tree preservation and protection, and so they weigh in on some of those things as well. So if you are somebody who has an interest in the urban forest here in Maple Grove, or you have a background or expertise in that area, we'd love to have you on board. It's an 11-member committee. You serve a 3-year term, and they do focus on kind of our tree planting efforts as well. So we try to not only protect but also enhance what we have here. And we can accept applications through Friday, March 24th, and you can find an application on the city's website.
Very good. So
Yep.
hope people step forward for that. Well,
Yeah.
that is it from the last meeting and kind of an update here as we round up the month of February. Heidi, thank you very much for
You're
your
welcome.
time.
Thank
Let's
you.
take a look at the next meeting date of the City Council. It is on Monday, March 6th. 7:30 p.m. at the Government Center. Phone number at the bottom of the screen. And again, we mentioned a number of things on the city's website. You see it there, maplegrovemn.gov. That spring recreation brochure and much, much more. Also open to business opportunities to sign up there. And if you have any questions or comments, 533-1710 is our viewer response line. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us.